doing? All right. How's it going? I'll go over there, mate. Made the announcement of what our policy will be on Saturday evening. All I'll say is this country has become more unequal. There's greater levels of inequality than there's been for a very long time. There's terrible levels of poverty in certain parts of the country. There's massive regional inequalities. Unless we invest for the future, put right many of the wrongs there are, then our society will become more divided and more children will underachieve. I simply invite all those that are looking at it to recognise what we've put forward is a sensible, costed plan of how we can improve public services and life opportunities in this country and develop an economy for the future at the same time as meeting our net zero requirements for environmental sustainability. Thank you. As it's you, I think this table deserves longer. Well, I've no idea what the thinking is behind the Conservative manifesto. You'll have to ask them that. But they're not facing up to the reality of the austerity they've imposed on this country, the problems that many people have just to make ends meet, or the fact that 1.5 million uses of food banks were made last year in the 5th richest country in the world. I think we need to recognise the poverty we've inflicted on many people in this country. The NHS is ambulances and A&E departments. Of course you need them, but you need to use them for the right purpose. We're fighting this election to win. We're fighting in every constituency. We're putting forward our campaign plans, which are very obvious, about bringing greater social justice to this country. We're not negotiating with other parties. We're fighting it to win it on our manifesto. And I don't think it's right for people ahead of elections to announce what negotiations they might do after an election. I want to go into government on our manifesto to deliver real change for the people of this country.
I do have to leave you off. I really want to speak to everyone.
We're not negotiating with the SNP. We're fighting as the Labour Party all across the country. And well done all of you. What we're doing is ensuring that all tenants have somewhere decent, safe and secure in which to live. And I can't imagine that any landlord would object to their property being inspected to make sure it's up to standard to be put on the rental market. Surely that's a reasonable, basic thing to do in society. We don't want people living in substandard accommodation.
There are a lot of women like me who have been told they've got life limiting.
Because it will be reasonable levels of rent, they'll still be getting a return on the capital that they've invested in the property, but it will mean that the many people that live in the private rented sector, because they have no choice, they can't afford to buy, and there's such a shortage of council housing and housing association they can't get it, I think it will mean that tenants are more secure and communities are more sustainable, because there are some parts of the country where the private rented sector is huge, and because of the short-term tenancies through the assured short-hold tenancy idea, they end up moving every 6 months or a year, and that's very damaging to the sense of community. So I think this will actually help. There are many landlords who are actually very good, do keep their places decently, do treat their tenants well. They have nothing to fear whatsoever. It's only those that don't look after their properties properly, charge too much in rent, and don't treat their tenants correctly.